For me, and making better decisions. The 3 turnovers that just can't happen, especially when you're moving the football. I think right now, just getting back on the practice field, going out there, making sure I get the timing with the receivers, and making sure that I'm doing whatever it takes to go out there and put this team in the end zone.
Decision was made, the depth chart. It wasn't that way before. I mean, it's the first time in a while that change was made.
I'm not gonna say I was surprised. Jonathan's been doing a great job, and he's, his numbers been called, and he deserves, to be in there and carry the load.
TribLive.com back with you, Allen Robinson, Mark Caboli, Justin LeBar. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving week. And these two gentlemen on each side, maybe they won't be doing the video too much longer because any more injuries or fumbles happen, I think you two have to step in, fill the depth chart out. You heard there from Isaac Redmond. You also did not hear from Rashard Mendenhall or Jonathan Dwyer. The reason being, we talked to them, but they really didn't say much. One of them losing a job, one of them gaining the spot, but it's kind of disarray right now in the Steelers locker room with injuries, the depth chart changes. Let's talk running backs first. Mark Caboli, 8 turnovers in the last game against the Cleveland Browns. I believe 5 of them came off of fumbles.
5 fumbles by 4 different guys. And I asked Jonathan Dwyer, is this a rule in place for forever? I mean, if you fumble, you sit the bench. He said as long as he's been here in their room, if you fumble, you sit the bench. But I don't know. Mike Tomlin really didn't say that will be the case this week when he named Jonathan Dwyer the starter. So I think he'll get more leeway and have a chance to fumble the ball once or twice. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable. You're going to fumble. But, I talked to Rashard Mendenhall as well, and he's visibly upset. He really doesn't believe that he should have been punished like this. He didn't say as much, but you can read his voice. And it's going to be big for the Steelers to be able to run this ball this week with Jonathan Dwyer. I mean, the silver lining in all this, guys, is they're finally picking a guy to go with. And I think they needed to do that 3-4 weeks ago. Jonathan Dwyer's your man. Give him the ball. If he fumbles, who cares? Give him the ball some more. And I think that's if they would have did that with Mendenhall, if they would have did that with Redmond, that was fine as well. I think it's a good choice overall when you look at it.
And on the other side of things, you have the quarterback. We heard from Charlie Batch there. Allen, it's Wednesday, so we don't know exactly what the quarterback situation is going to be. You'd think Charlie Batch, but then we hear other things. What are your take on this?
Well, one thing I want to interject about the running back thing is, the 4 games this year that they have actually run the ball well are the 4 games when they settled on a running back and stayed with them. The Mendenhall game against the Eagles, the 2 Dwyer 100-yard games, and the 147-yard Ike Redmond game. What was the one thing in common? Those guys ran the ball consistently the whole game. They got some cohesion and developed chemistry with the offensive line. In terms of the quarterback situation, I think it's pretty clear Charlie Batch is going to be the quarterback Sunday. This is really on the low end of Ben's coming back from 2 pretty serious injuries. This isn't just like a sprained shoulder that I've seen described somewhere else. This is multiple injuries he's got, and both of them, the rib injury and the SC joint injury, are both serious injuries by themselves. Sure. I just don't think there's any reason why you need to rush him back this week. Obviously, this game, every game for the rest of the season, the 5 games remain. They need to win. They don't need to win every one of them, though. They probably could go 3-2, and as long as they beat Cincinnati, get the wild card. So I don't think we ever would have projected this going into the season, whereas the Bengals game on December 23rd actually is probably more important than the Ravens game. But actually, in the overall scheme of things, it is, because that would almost be a potential elimination game. So I think the thing to do is I think they'll try to gut it out one more week with Charlie Batch. They really don't have any choice. Brian Hoyer's only been in the system for a week, but I just don't see the reason why you rush back Ben. You take a chance on him really getting re-injuring himself or getting seriously injured, and then you don't have him for the 4 games that will determine your season and will determine whether you get into the postseason.
So we are going to go in the assumption, as Allen said, with Charlie Batch. Let's go ahead and make it the predictions here. Coming off of 2 division losses, 1 to Baltimore, 1 to Cleveland. Now they go back playing Baltimore again here. What do you say?
You know what, guys? I got 2 predictions. First of all, I agree with Allen. They should sit Ben, but don't ever count him out. I say if Ben plays, they win 20-17. If Ben doesn't play, they lose 24-10.
And there's Mark Caboli's Wednesday afternoon prediction. Allen?
The Steelers have not lost 3 games in a row since late in the 2009 season when they dropped 5 in a row, and of course that cost them the playoffs. I think it's going to be another close game because every Baltimore-Pittsburgh game was a close game. Let's call it 21-18 Ravens. I see a little bit better offense out of the Steelers this week, but that's a pretty tough place to play. I think Baltimore's won 15 games in a row on their home field. I don't think this is going to be an exception. But again, the Steelers' fate will be determined in the next 4 games. It won't be determined in this game.
Some interesting games coming up here. You heard it from Allen Robinson, Mark Caboli. Follow them on Twitter as we're getting into the home stretch of the season where things are getting very interesting as playoffs. It's getting colder, playoffs. Yes, playoffs. Maybe in the future, but we'll see what happens here. Mark Caboli, Allen Robinson, I'm Justin LeBar, TribLive.com, Trib Live Radio, and, of course, Pittsburgh Tribune Review on your newsstands everywhere.